this guy is an idiot. But Jake, what are your thoughts on Ben?
He's just not taking it seriously enough,
No.
like even though like he wants to get traded, like I understand that, like it's a professional sport, it's your whole life, like you want to be where you think you can develop and also make a lot of money. Like this is just not the way to go about it, because regardless of how you're feeling, acting this way is just going to make teams less interested in you, because there's no guarantee you're not going to act this way with other teams. And like, oh, sorry, you can go.
Oh no, you're good. Carry on.
I was just gonna say, like, another thing too. Obviously, this is like speculation, but I was reading a Fox Sports like article earlier, and it said like, according to sources, like some people on the Sixers believe that like Simmons is faking his injury, and that he's also like faking mental illness, which is obviously like a pretty serious thing.
Yeah,
So
that's a pretty serious accusation. I did see before the show that Ben came out and said that he was, quote, not mentally prepared for the season. He was, having a lot of, doubts and I guess stuff going into it. And he did come out and he said that he thinks that everyone should take responsibility, including himself. But, the actions that he's been doing, man, it's really indefensible. I mean, I've really never been the biggest Ben Simmons fan. I, have always thought that he doesn't really try. I've thought that he just isn't, really into the game, and he just doesn't do what he's supposed to do. So when I saw all this come out, I was like, it's not surprising, but it's just finally, showing everything kind of coming to a head.
yeah, I definitely agree. And like at his age too, like he's still relatively young. He has potential in his career, but this is just like this is how his career is going to be remembered, and you don't want this to be a part of your career or history as a professional athlete. So
Yeah. I mean, listen, like we've all like, for what Ben's been doing though, it's been pretty dramatic. And listen, I don't like to rag on a guy, but he's kind of been a bit of an a-hole. Listen, we all deal with our fair shares of a-holes throughout our life. I mean, listen, us especially, we're at Bryant University, we're, just bound to run into them. I know I have.
okay.
I know I definitely have during my time here. I don't know about you, Jake. You could probably attest to that. But you run into your fair share of them just, being in certain situations.
Yeah.
Ben really hasn't helped himself out here. And you make a good point by saying, essentially, he hasn't helped his trade value. For a guy that's trying to, get out of this situation and trying to get out of Philly, what team is going to want a guy that's doing the things he's doing? If he was just saying, like, listen, I'm trapped in a bad organization, I want to help some other team out, and I'm just like, please let me go. You could make a plea that he's trying his best and he's doing it as professionally as possible, as professionally as requesting a trade can be done. But he's just done all the wrong steps. Him and Rich Paul, who, Rich Paul ended up saying to Doc Rivers, oh, why should Ben come back? Why should he come back? And Doc ends up, pretty much rightly saying, because it's in his effing contract. It's in his contract to come back. And one of the things that's pretty interesting with that is that, 76ers GM and, former Rockets GM. I know Jake, you used to be our former token Rockets fan on the show. So this is actually pretty interesting for you. So Daryl Morey, the GM of the 76ers, came out and said, listen, we're only going to be trading Ben Simmons for a game, for a difference maker. We're not trading him for, this package of picks or anything like that. Because he's just like, Ben Simmons, he's too valuable. Whether you like him or hate him, and I'm definitely on that side. He has value.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to get something for him. And Daryl Morey said, unless I get something for, something of value for him, we're not trading him. And he literally ended up saying, if this goes 4 years and I have to, and Ben Simmons is holding out and being like that, I'll play that deck. I'll play that game. And I'm like, the fact that the GM is saying I would, more willingly make this guy hold out than actually, trade him and get whatever you can, just shows the amount of disdain that's going on in this organization right now. It's so bad.
It's from both sides, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't think the 76ers handle a lot of things well, but what particularly do you not like on the 76ers end?
I don't know. I mean, at some point, like you might have to cut your losses, because the longer this goes on, I feel like the longer his trade value just declines. And like, I mean, obviously, like I respect them, like kind of imposing fines on him. Like, in an ESPN article, like it was saying something about like his like fines for like missed practices and meetings and games and whatnot. This season just started the other day. It's already at $2 million.
Yeah.
Like he's been racking up like costs and fines.
He hasn't made a penny this year.
He hasn't made a penny. He's out $2 million before he even touched the court once, which is just like I understand fining him, but like, man, that's just making it worse altogether. It might hit a point where like, if nothing improves and no team like listens to Morey and like tries offering up a difference maker, then they might just have to cut their losses and part ways and get whatever they can.
I mean, if you're the 76ers, you want to do anything at that point besides that. I think that Morey will eventually, try to get a trade done. I don't think that, you're going to see a repaired relationship with Ben and the Sixers. He might play, a handful of games, but if they're given the right opportunity, they'll ship him. Now, I said it on my last Friday show. I don't know where the hell they're going to send this guy, to be frank with you. I mean, like, what place is going to want this guy? Again, with the reputation he has, but also the fact that he doesn't really show any kind of drive to, improve his game all around. I said on the last show, guys like Andre Drummond and Brook Lopez learned how to shoot a jump shot. They, they were butchers on the field, but they eventually learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And listen, like I said, they're not Stephen Curry out there, but they can at least be, reliable and not a detriment to their team. Ben Simmons hasn't shown any willingness to learn and actually get better at his craft, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like that definitely feeds into the problem. It's like, if you're not like looking to improve, like we kind of been talking about a lot, like your freaking trade value, like if you're not trying to improve your trade value or even just improve as a player, then like, who's going to want you,
No one's going to want you at that point. And I'm just like, I said it on my last show, and I'm like, I was, feeling kind of validated as to saying like, oh, Ben isn't trying. He's not like doing a lot of this stuff. And I ended up seeing this TikTok. I was going through my page, and, obviously with the algorithms and everything, eventually something you're interested in is going to come up. And I get the TikTok about, of this guy talking about Ben Simmons, and it was actually from this guy. He runs a sports podcast. It's called the Too Tall Sports Podcast. This guy's name is Brett Lauren. He's a former professional, baseball player. So, very good source. He seems like a very nice guy. I'm actually going to try to reach out to him and see if he wants to ever do a show at some point. Nice. But he seems like a very nice guy. And, he was talking about the situation, and he ended up, finding Ben Simmons' old scouting report from his LSU days. And, it was actually very interesting because it, basically kind of, revealed everything that we, think about this guy. And it said, lacks the desire to get better, like doesn't really want to, work hard, doesn't kind of resents coaching at time to time, very tough to coach. And, it basically kind of echoes all the things that we know to be true about Ben Simmons.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And the fact that like it was such a visible like issue, like early on during his time at LSU, like that puts him in an even tougher position, because this is like, it's already been becoming a trend, but now it's like a long-standing pattern. That's just really making it worse for him. And like, this is just feeding into the drama. Like we said, something is going to have to happen where losses are cut, or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
I mean, listen, this in a way reminds me of the whole Antonio Brown drama. Like, listen,
yeah.
And listen, I didn't think that Ben Simmons would actually be this kind of a guy, because like you see Ben Simmons, like I freaking hate Ben Simmons, but he seems very mild mannered. He doesn't really say a lot. He seems more quiet, unless he's on the court doing what he does. So when I saw all the stories coming out, it did remind me of the Antonio Brown saga. And, that was very different because Antonio is very bombastic. He's very passionate. And, you could definitely tell. And, with the way the Raiders organization has been as of lately, maybe Antonio was right. So I will give him that.
Yeah.
Things might honestly, Antonio may have maybe Nostradamus there. So I will say that. But to be frank, like when I saw all this stuff going on with Ben Simmons, that was the first thing I was thinking. And I'm just like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, absolutely, you can find a way to get yourself out of a trade situation. You can say this organization sucks, and you can try to do it in a way that doesn't hurt your trade value. Ben Simmons has done all the wrong things, and I think that's why you're now starting to see the statement come out with him saying, "Oh, everyone needs to do better, including myself." And I'm like, yeah, because I think he's finally starting to get the idea that, oh shoot, no one's going to want to trade for me if I'm coming across like this.